This is one of my favorite shirts, but honestly, it's full of holes. It's my favorite shirt for two reasons. First of all, it's so comfortable. The fabric is so soft. I don't like so much when clothes are really tight on my body. At the end of the day, I just want to be in big, comfortable clothes. And this is perfect. And another reason is my mom have the exact same shirt, and every time I wear it, I think of her. The reason why it has holes? I put it in a whitening solution a bit too long. When you make a pattern on a sewing machine and the pattern asks you to do a sewing by hand, let's say most of us are not the happiest. But honestly should not, because hand sewing is so precise and it's really just your hand, a needle and a thread. No machine. And because I cannot bring my sewing machine with me on travels, well, I thought it's a good compromise. But to be honest, I did use my sewing machine before I left Berlin because I wanted to sew around the holes rectangulars, and I also wanted to sew a fabric behind. Like I said, the fabric is not so much solid anymore. It's a bit easier to put a fabric behind, so then it's a bit more stable when I sew. My first darning project started in Munich. I had brought some needles, my darning mushroom, and some thread. First step, of course, is to choose which color I wanted for this first batch to look like. I put my darning mushroom underneath and then I started to sew, but I didn't like the look of it so much. I think the thread was a bit too thin. So guess what I did? Yes, of course, I cut it all off and I went to buy proper embroidery threads. Embroidery threads are just thicker, so the look is nicer. I also decided to buy a darning loom. Maybe I was influenced by a video on Instagram, but the darning loom is this little tool and it helps to make better, nicer, let's say, mending, especially a certain type. I did do mending before but without this tool and it's easy as well. Honest opinion, I really liked it. It was fun to use. What was nice with this project is that I decided to not only do the craft itself, but also learn about the craft. So the difference between mending and darning. Mending is the broad term to describe repairing damaged clothing or textile, and darning is a type of mending. In Japan, I think they use Boro. It's layered patchwork to make clothing warmer or longer lasting. I also read the book Mending with Boro. The simplicity of the style was really charming because let's say she has a white shirt, she will use different type of white fabric and then put it on top of the white shirt. Darning is also, of course, very important in history. However, with the fast fashion industry in the late 90s and 2000, clothing became more disposable. We don't fix our clothes as much as we used to in the past. It's also weirdly seen, I feel, nowadays. If you arrive to a meeting or if you go out with a patch on you, for some reason we don't accept this socially anymore. Or maybe it's just my entourage. Fixing your clothes is really essential and it's really nice to learn how to do this. This being said, companies that are selling new clothes with a darning patch on them should go to jail. Because new clothes are not supposed to be damaged. They are supposed to be perfect condition in good quality. So update about the shirt. I've did the first patch underneath the arm. And I'm happy that I did the first patch underneath the arm because it's not perfect. And then the second patch I did is here. And I watched a video on YouTube how to actually use this thing. And now it has all these little fringe, but the fringe will go on the other side. And then I have a few to fix still. One in the other underarm, one around the neck, one here. And then maybe I also just add a few more. I also scrolled on Pinterest and found really nice patches. that inspired me for future projects. In another book called Creative Mending, there was this picture about different darning mushrooms. Some are made by the woodworker Sarah Luck. I will put her website in the description below. But in this picture, the green one over there, I'm out of words. This is so pretty. I've never seen a darning mushroom like this. Mending is actually quite nice because I cannot bring my sewing machine with me when I travel. I mean, I wish, but it's not the case. And so being able to bring a small sewing project is really meditative. And it's also quite satisfying because a sewing project is very time consuming, a knitting project even more, but a darning, you can fix a hole in 2 hours, 3 hours. It's very fast. On my walk, I also found this thrift shop, which was by a woman who used to work in the meat section in a supermarket. She never liked it, and she always dreamed of being a seamstress. And so one day her husband found her this place, and he said, "Go out and live your dream." They don't have a lot of money, but they made it work. This jacket, for example, not necessarily my style, but I really like the sleeve. I'm also very inspired by beaded bags nowadays, and this little pouch had 2 different beaded patterns, which I thought was really interesting. I also found this bag, which was a bit old, but the shape was amazing. I really hope I can recreate a bag like this.
Listen to rain as it falls to the ground and washes the day away. Nothing to show and no place to go, so here in my room I stay. I don't know that I could forget you, no matter how hard I try. I'm all alone, and honestly I cannot believe all the tears that I've cried. I'm all alone, and honestly I don't know why.
And so here's the final review of all my patches. Well, the first one I made, I cut, if we remember. But the second one I made, that I kept on this shirt, is this first patch, which is purple and brown. I really like these colors together. This one I had only watched, I think, a video on Instagram. I did not properly look how to use a darning tool. I'm happy with it. The only thing is the thread are a bit too tight, and so it creates new holes, which the whole purpose of this is to patch the holes. This little patch, I really like the mix of green together. This third patch is a big fail. I hate the little bob we see on top there. For this patch, I use the technique Goma Shio darning. I did not use the darning loom, but I only use the wood part. And I also realized that it's way nicer with just basic elastic than the elastic that it came with, the yellow one. And so I basically just put the fabric and this, which I prefer this than the darning mushroom, because the darning mushroom is not stable. And I prefer when like the elastic keeps it in one place. And then we move forward to the blue one, which I guess I was inspired by all the rivers that I saw in the past week. And I really like this technique because the thread is way less tighter. I use the technique gomashio again and a basket darning. And then we move to this one, which I think was the moment I finally really mastered the darling loom. It looked like it was a little logo, which I hate logos most of the time. I feel like it's free marketing for the company. I don't understand the concept of logos. And you think this will be enough? No. On my way back from Hamburg to Berlin, I decided to make an extra one. It's this little guy. And again, the more I make some, the more I master it. You might think this is a very random place to have a patch, but there was a hole there. Like, I don't decide where the holes are made. This shirt is not finished. This is an ongoing project. It's very suiting. I really liked it. I'm happy I bought this tool, to be honest. I also saw someone on YouTube who put a magnet to hold the needle, and this is so smart. You know when sometimes you buy a package and it comes with magnet and you're supposed to just throw away the package? Well, I remove magnets. Call me cheap. But I remove magnets because I know I will use it in some type of project one day. Also why, for me it's weird to put magnets in the trash. And so yeah, this is really practical. I would highly recommend this trick. Hopefully you liked watching me fixing holes. If not, you can tell me how I can improve. Or go to another of my videos. Maybe there's another one that you prefer. I have no clue. Or unfollow. Always a possibility. I will see you next week. Bisous. I forgot. I actually did another one. In Hamburg, I had to wait for my train, so I made another one. I'm also quite happy with this one. I'm mastering this new craft.